We are once again back in Droughtlander, and I have no idea how long it's gonna last this time. Hey guys, what's up? It's Ashley. Welcome back to my channel. And if you clicked on this video, you might be an Outlander fan. I obviously am a huge Outlander fan. I credit Outlander to being the reason that I picked up romance books in the first place. I was a huge reader as a kid and a teenager, and then when I got to college in my 20s, I just kind of stopped. And so about 5 years ago, I randomly decided to start watching on Netflix, and I became really obsessed. Like, kind of scary obsessed. Like, maybe I should have seen a therapist, but anyway, when I found out that the books and the TV show followed each other really closely, I decided that I needed to dive into this world because I didn't want to wait long for the new seasons and stuff. I ordered the first 4 books, and I did only get through the first 2. They are thick, okay? They are a little dense, but they are still good. But after that, I kind of just started picking up other historical romances and then contemporaries, and then I just kind of became an insane, crazy person and flash forward, and now we're here. Let's circle back around. So a lot of people love the Outlander show, and a lot of people love the Outlander books. There are a lot of people that haven't read the books, or there are a lot of people like me that have read through part of the books but know a lot of the plot to the books just because I'm weird and I like to look up spoilers and stuff. But anyway, and I do like to pick up a historical romance from time to time. I always like to dive back to a Scottish Highlander romance. There's just something special about it. I do love historical romance. I love all kinds of them. I love Bridgerton and stuff like that, but Outlander just has such a special, unique place in my heart. And so I do have some Scottish Highlander romances on here that I do think give really good Outlander vibes if you've already read the Outlander books, or if you haven't read them and you don't want to dive into them because they're so daunting, that's fine. I think I've rambled enough in this intro, so let's just get to those Outlander-esque recommendations. So the first one that I have is Beyond the Highland Mist by Karen Marie Moning, and this is actually going to be a time travel romance. So our male main character, our Highlander, is named Hawk, and he is this godlike character. He is the laird of his castle, and every woman wants him, but no woman has been able to claim his heart. He hasn't been able to fall for any of them, and so he just wants love. There is a side plot going on where there are like these evil fae trying to mess with him. And so what they do to be funny is they pull a 21st century woman who has recently sworn off all men into his life. And so it's this great push and pull relationship because he becomes so fascinated and obsessed with her and just wants her to love him back. And she's recently sworn off men, so she is trying to fight all of these feelings while also trying to figure out how the hell she ended up there and how she can go home. And when he finds out where she's from, like, he doesn't want her to leave, and it's fun. So I think it's going to have a lot of those fun Outlander stuff without going into all of the heavy politics and the big depth and stuff like that. Now, the next book that I have on this list is actually the next book in this series, but it is not a time travel romance. So if you don't want the time travel, but you want this atmosphere and Highlander stuff, you could go to book 2 or read them in order. I'm throwing it in here. So it is To Tame a Highland Warrior, and this one is going to follow the best friend of the Laird and Highlander from the first book. And he has been recently called back to his old lands that he grew up on because the old love of his life, her father, has called him back to marry her. She is reaching that age where she needs to be married, and so her father and mother have called like 3 men to her castle for her to choose one of them, and he is one of them. Now, because this is like a fantasy type of series, he's a berserker, however you say that. He becomes like an unhinged, raging monster when he fights and has war, and so he doesn't want to hurt the love of his life, Jillian, and that is why he left her behind so many years ago. And so when he is called back by her father, he's like, no, I cannot be with you. I don't love you. He has to lie to her. And so once again, it's another one of those push and pull relationships, but this was another enjoyable one. Next up, we have When a Scot Ties the Knot by Tessa. I read this last May, and it was in my honorable mentions for my top reads. It was so close to making it. It was so enjoyable. It was my first Tessa read, and I need to go read some more. So this has a really interesting setup. So we have our female main character, Madeline. She is one of those women that just wants to be a spinster. She doesn't want to get married. She just wants to live her life. And so what she does to avoid being married off by her family is she decides to create a fake suitor that she can later kill off. And so what she does is she decides to start writing herself love letters from a Scottish Highlander who is like away at war and stuff. And then years later, she receives a letter from this man with the name that she used saying that he is coming home to get his bride. And yeah, so then we have Captain Logan Mackenzie, and he comes for Madeline, and it's a fun story. I really loved Logan. I loved Madeline. I loved the banter. Logan came for Madeline because of property that she had tied with her, but he's gonna fall for her. It's, you know, it's classic love, okay? But I really loved this one. It was fun. Then we have The Touch of Her Hand by Rebecca Ruger. I am so sorry if I said that wrong. This is another fun one. This is going to be a kidnapper romance. So our female main character is set to marry another man at the beginning of the story, and our male main character in the past was really wronged by her father. And so he develops a plan of revenge over years and years, and he decides to take her as his revenge, and he needs to marry her and take her property and completely screw her father and his men over in the process. By doing that, obviously she's been kidnapped and she has no love or attraction to him and doesn't want to stay there, so she is constantly trying to escape, and she does, but she keeps getting caught. And it's really funny, and I really enjoyed it because there's so many kidnapper romances where the girl just kind of chills. And I really like it when a heroine will say, no, I am going to keep trying to climb out this window. I'm going to keep trying to slip out the door. I'm not going to stop. And she was not going to stop. And like I said, it just made a fun type of romance. I don't know. Before I go into my next recommendation, I do want to recommend Outlander itself. So if you have not read this series, but you love the show, I really highly suggest giving it a go. I mean, you can see how worn my copy is. I definitely carried it around for me for months and got so much love out of it, but it is great. Now, they are kind of dense. They go very heavy on the political talk. I mean, you've watched the show, you know there is a lot to it. It is a lot more than just a romance. And so it gets very thick and heavy on those topics, and so you can audiobook it. I did audiobook parts of this when I was driving, and then I did audiobook book 2 because book 2 goes really heavy into the French politics and stuff like that, and I didn't want it to just go completely over my head. I wanted to be able to absorb it all. But there is so much missing currently right now in the show that is going on with the books. I do know a lot of the plot that is currently through book 9, just because I like to look up the show book spoilers after each episode has aired, just so I can kind of get an idea of theories and stuff of what's coming. I know I've probably spoiled myself for the series, but I don't care. I love the series so much that I just want to know. And so because the show has kind of taken a hard turn and things are changing a lot, I do want to go back into the books and read them again. So I don't know if I'm just going to pick up book 3 and start there, or if I want to go back to book 1. But if you have not read this series and you love the show, please do it. I know that Bridgerton has a lot of book changes, but for the first at least 5 seasons, 5 books, they really follow the material really well. This one that I have on here is actually a fanfic. Now, it's not an Outlander fanfic. I know that there is a lot of Outlander fanfic out there. I just haven't read any of them. I kind of wanted to get through the books before I dipped my toe into those. But if you have read them and there are some that I absolutely need to try, please let me know and I will go give those a look. But this one is going to be, it's a completely original fan fiction. It's a historical romance. It's a time traveler romance. I'm currently halfway through it, but it is so good. So good. It's giving me those feelings when I read Manacled a few years ago. It's long because it's a fanfic, but I cannot put it down. So it is called Silent Tears. This is a graphic that I just made, so just there's something on the screen. I'll put the link for the fanfic download in the description box down below. So this is going to be a time traveler historical romance, and it is going to be set in 1920s India, specifically the British Indian territories. We have a 21st century female main character that has appeared in this time, and she doesn't know how and she doesn't know why. Now, the reason that I am throwing this in here, because obviously it's not a Highlander romance, is because like Outlander, our female main character Mira, she's very intelligent. She comes from the future. She's in college. She is studying history and all of that. And so when she gets to this time, she knows a lot of things that are happening, and she's like the only Indian woman that can read English and speak English, and so she has to keep her mouth shut and really be careful about what she says and does, or she's going to be found out or put herself in danger. And so it really reminds me of those Outlander aspects where Claire is a futuristic woman, but she has to kind of hold herself back, even though we all know Claire has a problem with doing that. But I just think with the dangerous aspects and, you know, knowing that the future is your home. Now, I also want to be a huge trigger warning on this story. This is not a Jamie Fraser type of male. This is not a Jamie Fraser type of hero. All right, this is a very evil man. Okay, this is a Viscount. His name is Eric. And basically when he finds Mira, she saves him in a field when she first arrives in the past. And she is later thrown in prison because they think that she's a slave that has escaped. She becomes his personal slave, enslaved by him. Like, he is obsessed with her. And so he uses her as a sex slave, and he is never gonna let her go. Never, ever let her go. Like, to the point where he would rather kill her and himself than let her go. But I just think with the time travel and the futuristic woman with being smart and knowing shit, but trying to hold back in a world of men controlling things, it's giving me those vibes. Plus, when I went on Reddit and I was specifically looking for Outlander-esque types of romances, someone did recommend this based on that question. So if you like fanfic, go check this one out. I have seen no one talk about it. I looked for TikToks on it. I looked on Pinterest. I looked on Bookstagram. No one is fucking talking about this book, and I'm going to need that to change. Okay, well, that will do it for my Outlander-esque recommendations. Like I said, we are all once again stuck in Droughtlander. The last Droughtlander was like 15, 16 months, I want to say. Maybe less than that, maybe more. But it was not even a new season. It was like part 1 of season 7 and then part 2. And this entire season had already been filmed in its entirety. So I know there was the writer's strike. Yeah. I know the prequel's coming this summer, so I know that they're just dragging it out. But I swear to God, you guys, season 8 has been filmed. It has been filmed. And if I have to wait at least a year for it, when it's been filmed, I'm gonna be upset, okay? If you recently watched season 7, you'll know why. I gotta get off of here. Anyways, don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.